Alright, hello, welcome to the Hold My Helmet Football Podcast. I'm your host, Will Reichling. No Dylan Boyle this week, just all Will all the time. Back to the original episodes, back in the original studio over here. I hope Dylan enjoys his night off, and we'll get started here. I'd like to most importantly start with the Bengals at the 49ers. I mean, I feel like that was the most important game of the week that we just witnessed. And the Bengals look back to the vintage Bengals. And I said in the first couple games of the season, they usually always start off slow. Let's relax on the Bengals. And I kind of hopped in the bandwagon too of, are the Bengals really a playoff team this year? And they proved to me on Sunday, that they are. Now, the 49ers defense isn't what it was last season, but it's still a pretty good defense. And the Bengals had their way on offense. They really did. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins finally starting to come on. Joe Mixon looked back to vintage Joe Mixon. And Burrow looks way more mobile. It looks like the calf's healthy. And how do I know that? Because they had designed quarterback draws for him. He was rolling out of the pocket, making plays, moving out of the pocket. He looks back to good old Joe Burrow. I shouldn't have jumped off the bandwagon too soon. So that's kind of my fault right there. Now, as far as San Francisco, Brock Purdy, he made a lot of really big-time throws in this game. I saw him make some throws to George Kittle where he just completely threaded the needle. And I was like, wow, that's an NFL throw. Now, he had, again, two big interceptions in critical moments. One in the red zone, you just can't throw when there's a defensive lineman 2 feet away from you. And the other one, he tried to lead the guy on the cross over the middle, and he had the linebacker. He didn't see the defender drifting over the middle. And that's happened a couple of times now in the past couple of weeks to Purdy, where he threw an interception going over the middle. And to me, those two interceptions were the difference in the game. And I still think Brock Purdy's fine. Like I said, he made a lot of big-time throws in this game. The 49ers are starting to worry me a little bit. Now, they just traded for Chase Young from the Washington Commanders, so that is going to be huge for the D-line. But to me, the problem really wasn't the D-line. The problem is the secondary of the 49ers. They got torched in the passing game by Kirk Cousins, and now they got torched by Joe Burrow on the Bengals this week. So, to me, the defensive woes really lie in the passing game, but maybe adding another pass rusher will help bolster your secondary a little bit. You create pressure on the quarterback. They usually tend to create turnovers, and it leads to dumb decisions. Now, Sam Darnold, we heard a lot that he was going to start this week, that Purdy on concussion protocol, no player has played after being on concussion protocol for the week. It's kind of miraculous to see how he was even able to get cleared to play in this game, but maybe they should have held it off for one more game. Purdy, to me, he's still a good quarterback, okay? Like I said, he made a lot of big throws in this game. He just needs to stop. He needs to cut down the turnovers. You're missing Debo in this game. You still had Ayuk and Kittle, and obviously McCaffrey. But, Brock Purdy's shown, like the last 3 weeks, it's funny because they got 17 points in a row, 3 weeks in a row. But I always say, what are you when you're trailing? And, Brock Purdy's not impressing me a lot when he's trailing, but, he's a pretty good quarterback when he has the lead. And the Niners are going to have a lead a lot this year. I still think they're going to win that division, even though Seattle has the lead right now. Good, congrats to Seattle. The Niners their roster, even though the defense has kind of struggled a little bit, now adding Chase Young, this roster is still really stacked. Once you get Debo back, Niners are going to be just fine. As for the Bengals, I think they're hitting their stride right now. I think Bengals Super Bowl contender is back on. They're right back in the bubble to me. They still have a shot to win their division, even though I think Baltimore's starting to pull away a little bit. And, Joe Burrow's looking like old Joe Burrow again. He's moving out of the pocket. He's doing design quarterback runs. And there's a lot to like about the Bengals this week. There's a lot to like. Their offense completely had their way against this 49er defense. And it just goes to show that we all need to be patient on Joe Burrow and the Bengals coming to start the season. Eventually, one of these seasons, it's going to catch up to them, starting off slow, too slow, and not picking it up too little, too late. So, thankfully, the Bengals are 4-3 now, so they don't have to worry about that this season. They're right back in the thick of things, and their division is pretty tough, too. I think that the AFC North is the best division in football, but I still think, obviously, they're viable for a wild card. Pittsburgh, I don't trust their quarterback. I don't trust their offense. Cleveland, I don't trust their quarterback or the backup quarterback. And I like Baltimore. I do like Baltimore. And it's a toss-up for me still. I don't know who will win that game if they face each other in the playoffs. That's going to be exciting to watch. The AFC North is a pretty stacked division. So for the Chiefs and the Broncos, I think we all know Patrick Mahomes had the flu. And it was interesting to me because I saw Shannon Sharp, famous tight end for the Denver Broncos. And he also played for the Baltimore Ravens. And he won a couple Super Bowls. obviously. He made some comments saying that Travis Kelce, being at the World Series 2 days before their game, was bad for the league, and it was, basically pretty much embarrassing, and that he should, be focused and locked in, and that's part of the reason they lost this game. Really, what are we doing here? I mean, this guy is accomplished. He's one of the greatest tight ends of all time. I get you saying this to like a rookie who hasn't proven himself or anything, but this guy's won Super Bowls. He's shown to always be focused, always be at his peak at all times, and him going to the World Series isn't going to affect anything on the field on Sunday. And it's like, what is he supposed to just say, locked in the room like a robot? Like, these people have lives. Like, they can go home from practice and do whatever they want. Like, I don't understand these people I get that. The only reason I kind of respect this is because Shannon Sharp's a former player, and he was a pretty damn good player. But the times have changed. The guy's got a life, especially a pretty popular life. I don't think he's distracted at all, honestly. I think he's been just as good as he has any other season. So I think Travis Kelce is not. I think that's just a silly narrative to say that, just because he went to the World Series 2 days before the game, that was a distraction to him or to the team or to the organization. It's just kind of a little kind of grasping at straws there. Now, sometimes this just happens in divisional games. We saw a couple weeks ago the Patriots beating the Bills. We see it all the time in divisional games. Those get a little tricky. The problem here is that it's not just about it being a weird divisional game. I think the Chiefs' receiving corps is just a real problem, and I didn't see them make any moves at the trade deadline, so it looks like they're stuck with what they have. I think Rashee Rice is going to become a nice receiver, but other than that, I don't really like any of the receivers. Sky Moore had a big drop in the end zone, huge drop in the end zone. Could have changed the outcome of a lot of things. Kadarius Toney's up and down. He just never became a legit receiver. Justin Watson is just like kind of limited. Hardman dropped the punt, so I mean, even though that's not punt return and receiver, two different things, but still I haven't seen him make an impact on the offense. So I don't understand. Eventually, the Chiefs, and now I think they're hitting this point where like they're starting to realize, okay, now we're starting to become limited on offense because we don't have the players. And I think even after the trade deadline, the Chiefs are still favored to win the Super Bowl. I don't really know how, because they're, granted, they're 6-2, but they just don't have the players on offense other than Travis Kelce and Pacheco. I don't see it. I don't see the juice. Rashee Rice looks nice, though. He does, but it just doesn't look like enough. When you're only scoring 9 points and it's this Broncos defense, and let me tell you, this Broncos defense, what a job they've done these last couple of weeks. After getting completely annihilated, those 70 points against Miami, they only let up 19 points against the Chiefs the last time. And now this time, what was it, 9 points they let up? So they didn't even score a touchdown. I don't even remember the last time Mahomes didn't score a touchdown in the game. So Denver's defense has definitely stepped up the last couple of weeks. I still don't think they're a playoff team, but they've kind of revived the season a little bit. I think they're sitting here at 3-5 now. And Russell Wilson's had a nice season. He hasn't been the solution, but he also hasn't been the problem. And I get that Mahomes had the flu, but that's also not an excuse. I'm sure he'd be the first person to say that. And sometimes these games are fluky, and this happens. I am a little worried about the Chiefs, though. Obviously, they're a playoff team. Obviously, they're going to be a division winner. But how far can they make it when you have all these other, Cincinnati's hitting their stride, and they always struggled in Cincinnati. So. And, we'll see. They actually, it's funny enough, they're playing Miami this week. And Miami, they got a pretty stacked offense. So can they keep up with them? They're home. So I'll give that pick later. So let me get into the next one. Rams at Cowboys. And to me, the Cowboys defense and special teams really just dominated this game. I mean, don't get me wrong. Dak and CeeDee Lamb, they have become one of the best quarterback wide receiver duos in the league. And Dak was great this game. And look, when Dallas is winning and things are going great, Dak's going to look great. Dak's going to have games like that. And, he made a nice touchdown throw to Ferguson. He made some nice throws running out of the pocket, hitting Lamb. Look, Dak looked great today. And he's had a couple games, in a row where he's kind of looked great. So, to me, the Rams kind of just got a little exposed. I think they still have a shot making the playoffs, but you just saw the difference in rosters in this game. You saw Dallas was just a better team. They had the better defense, the better offense, the better special teams, and it showed today. Now, I still think, like I said, the Rams still have a shot at the playoffs, but let's be honest, they're not beating any of the top teams in the playoffs in the NFC. The Eagles, the Cowboys, they just got killed by the Cowboys, the 49ers. I don't see them being the Lions either, so I don't see them doing much if they do make the playoffs. But I still wouldn't be that down on the Rams. People thought they were going to be completely terrible, and they haven't been. They got their doors kicked in this game, but That's what happens sometimes. We're getting to the point of the season where, teams are starting to get a little exposed. Like the first couple of weeks of these teams having this, like, luck, like Tampa, it's starting to wear off. We're starting to see how teams really are. Green Bay was good the first couple of weeks. Now they've been, basically terrible. So, we're starting to see teams' true colors. I think we saw that a little bit here with the Rams. Although I don't want to be too dramatic. I still think they're gonna, surprise a couple teams, win a couple more games. 7-8 wins, hover around there. If they can get to 9, they should consider themselves thankful. And Dallas, if they can play like that and get a lead on teams, watch out. CeeDee Lamb is definitely. I had him in my top 10 receivers going into the season, and he's making the case to be top 5. He really is. So Eagles at Commanders. I like to start this off with Sam Howell. I don't know what to make of Sam Howell anymore. He's so up and down from game to game. He's made so many throws that I like. He's done so many things that I like. I like his size. I like his mobility. I like his arm. I like his wow plays out of the pocket. Sometimes I like his accuracy. But again, another bad interception in a critical moment. And he continues to do this. His decision-making is one of his downfalls. It's going to be one of his downfalls at this point. It was kind of silly because he overthrew the receiver and he was covered tight regardless. So it was kind of like, what are you thinking there, dude? But you have to remember, that was only Sam Howell's 9th start. He's essentially a rookie. And I'm not sure how patient the Commanders are going to be with him. Because, I'm pretty sure, what was he, like a 4th, 5th round pick? Surprised he fell that low, but I guess he fell that low for a reason. And they're not going to have as tight of a leash on with him. And this ownership didn't draft him, so I would be patient with him. I would give him another season because he showed a lot of good. There's a lot to like here with Sam Howell. What he throw for almost 400 yards like this game, and look, I'm a Jets fan. Zach Wilson's never done that, so I think there's tools to build around here. I would gladly take Sam Howell on the Jets right now. I think there's a lot to like with Sam Howell that we're all missing here. He makes a lot of silly mistakes, but hits his 9th start. He's essentially a rookie. So, and he's got some pieces there on offense. And Washington's still looking, what are they, 3-4 right now? They might be 3-5 now, actually. But regardless, Washington, I don't see them as a terrible team. They're going to be too good to get one of these top picks in the draft, but they're going to be too bad to make the playoffs. So, they're kind of stuck in purgatory. I kind of like a lot of the tools Sam Howell has. So, I would continue forward with him. And unless he completely goes and wets the bed this next half of the season, I would keep rolling with him next season, too. You just put more pieces around them. I think there's some things they could do in the draft. They can improve their secondary a little bit. Their offensive line isn't great. So I don't think Sam Howell's the problem here. I know he has some critical turnovers, but he is young and he's a rookie. And look, I haven't seen a lot of late round picks have that kind of arm talent. I've seen him make some big throws into tight coverage in clutch moments in games. So, and this Eagles secondary is looking very weak. I mean, they were throwing the ball all over them, and it's funny because the tush push, now going on to Philadelphia, the tush push was finally stopped at the goal line. And kind of what happened was the guy, one of the defensive tackles kind of shed the block and then kind of came around the side a little bit. Not around the complete edge, but around the B gap. Kind of came around the side and kind of dragged him back in. And he fumbled on top of that. So, I guess it was mainly the fumble, but, a stop's a stop, and they got it. Another funny thing about the tush push, well, not that tush push, but the tush push later on in the game. Well, actually, that's the thing. It was a fake tush push. And, I was thinking for a while that this was going to happen eventually. The team was going to try to fake it, maybe do a little end around. That's exactly what happened. And it was and leave it to the Eagles to create the fake to their own play. And that just shows how how smart this team is. They kind of invent their own play in a way. I mean, they didn't invent this play, but they didn't invent the quarterback sneak, but they kind of invented the quarterback that squats more than anyone in the league. Barreling behind the best center of all time with people pushing him from the sides and from behind. I mean, they kind of invented this play in a way, and now they created the fake to the play. So, this goes to show that the best teams in the league always create the new gimmicks, and the followers of the league follow those gimmicks, and usually they don't succeed. Like we've seen around the league, the tush push has not worked. Giants players got hurt from it. I've seen the Chargers fail at it. I've seen a lot of teams fail at it. I think I've seen the Raiders fail at it a couple times. They can't. No one could do it like the Eagles. No one could do it like the Eagles. But A.J. Brown is just on a complete tear. Other than, Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson, can you really say that anyone's better than A.J. Brown right now? And I would put him up there with Tyreek Hill, too. That's how dominant he's been this season. He's been, completely Like, you put him double coverage, triple coverage. He's just always coming down with the ball. He's winning all these one-on-ones, but it's not even one-on-ones. It's like 3-on-1. Like, this guy, he could take a slant to the house. He could beat you deep. He just does everything. I bet you could catch screens. I mean, this Devontae Smith's more the screen guy, and he got going today too, Sunday. When you have both those guys going, you're going to be unstoppable. I mean, this team, I think the Eagles are the best team in the league right now. And while I think that, they've won many different ways. I've seen them win running the ball. I've seen them win throwing the ball. I've seen them win with defense. I've seen them win in shootouts. I've seen them win with Jalen Hurts taking over. I've seen them win with Jalen Hurts struggling. I think this team has kind of been battle-tested. I know everyone wants to say, oh, but who have they played? Who have they played? I mean, like, Miami's not a joke. So, and, like, remember, don't forget they lost to my Jets. So, I think this team, they haven't been cruising this season, and it's going to pay off for them later on, because when they get to the playoffs and they get into close games, they're going to know how it feels because they went through in the regular season. So I think the Eagles are the best team in the league. All right, so now Jets and Giants. I want to get into this game the most because I went to this game, and it was basically like a monsoon out there. It was raining the entire time. It was cold. My girlfriend was miserable. My friends are miserable. Definitely one of the ugliest offensive performances from both teams I've ever seen. Probably the worst offensive performance for both teams that I've ever seen. It was god awful. It really was. The Giants had that game in the bag. I mean, they really did. When they sacked Zach Wilson on 4th down, and first off, Zach Wilson, why are you not getting rid of the ball there? Yeah, just throw it up at that point. Throw it up. What do you got to lose at that point? You're taking regardless, it's going to be a turnover. Are you scared to throw a pick? You trying to pad your stats? I don't know. I think this guy just doesn't know how to think fast, quick on his feet, which is like not a good trait for a quarterback. The Giants have that game in the bag. So then, 4th down for the Giants, and they opt to kick the field goal. They make that field goal, they win the game. So I hear a lot of people, on radio and everything saying they should have went for it. They should have been aggressive and went for it. And at the end of the game, it was a 35-yard field goal. I know the kicker had an injury that he was dealing with, but if you knew he couldn't kick field goals, why would you not sign another kicker? It's you got to be able to make a 35-yard field goal. At that point, it wasn't pouring rain. It wasn't downpouring. So not really an excuse for that. That would have been the game right there. So the Jets get the ball back, 24 seconds, no timeouts. Completes like a 29-yard pass to Garrett Wilson, and it's an offsides on Thibodeau, and that stops the clock. Remember, no timeouts. Then he completes, another 20-something yard pass to Lazard. As he's running down the field, I'm screaming, clock it, clock it. I lost my voice this week. I was screaming, clock it, go, go, go. And then he's running up the line, 3, 2, 1, spikes it just in time. Kicks the field goal, overtime. Once it got to overtime, the Jets were winning that game. I'm not impressed with that win, obviously. It was a little embarrassing that we almost lost to, well, I say we because I'm a Jets fan, obviously. The Jets almost lost to a third-string quarterback, and that's just, you can't have that. So if you're going to be a playoff team, you can't have that. But I will say this defense is elite, obviously. I mean, -9 passing yards for the Giants is the fewest passing yards by a team in NFL history in a game. Fewest. -9. It was bad. And let me tell you something. I know everyone wants to say, oh, it's because Tommy DeVito was in. Tyrod Taylor only had 7 passing yards, so 9 passing yards. Wasn't much better. So, Dable played scared today. He really did. And, at some point, it's like he was just trying. I feel like in overtime, the Giants were just trying to tie. They were trying to tie because they knew Tommy DeVito couldn't do anything. But then why would you have him as your backup quarterback? Why would you not go out and sign a guy? You knew he was one hit away from coming in. So, a little confusing, the Giants. I don't know what their thought process was. Maybe they were hiring him from watching him in practice, and then they kind of saw him in the beginning of the game, and when he came in, they were like, oh, yeah, this guy cannot play. But I just don't understand why you wouldn't have another guy ready to go that could actually run the offense. Because this guy, it was just either run to Barkley or screen to Barkley. I mean, besides the one read option that he took him for a touchdown, he looks pretty quick. I'll give him that. But the Giants handed that game to the Jets, and I think week 1 for the Giants kind of defined how the season was going to go. That 40-0 loss to Dallas, it kind of set the tone for the entire season. So it sucks. It does suck. But the Giants, the Jets have the better roster, in my opinion. They just do. Thibodeau's becoming a star for the Giants. That was his breakout game. He was a beast that game. He was a beast. But the Giants, I don't know. Even if Daniel Jones played, would have been much better. So I heard he's coming back this week, so hopefully, they just traded Leonard Williams to the Seahawks for a 2nd and a 5th, which is good because you got him for a 3rd. So you got production out of him, and you got 2 picks for him. So it was a good trade for them. But it seems like they're selling. And it seems like it's possible they could be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes. I don't know. I mean, they signed Daniel Jones to a lot of money, so probably not. But as for the Jets, I got playoff hopes, but like, is it realistic? I don't know. We're playing the Chargers next week, so hey, we're 4-3 right now. I'll take a win. Zach was terrible, but made the 2 biggest throws of his life at the end. Kind of seems if this guy just ran hurry up offense the whole game, he would be great. Because this guy in the 2-minute drill, like, he doesn't have to think, he just throws, and he's like been pretty good in the 2-minute drill. Look up his stats; hasn't been bad. So Browns at Seahawks. Geno made some really good throws, like that touchdown throw where he ran left and hit Lock in the corner. That was a good throw. But he also had 2 interceptions, and he almost had a pick 6 if it wasn't dropped. So it seems like Geno's a little up and down. Very up and down. Seahawks roster is just like too stacked. It's too stacked. All Geno has to do is not turn the ball over like he did, and they'll win games. Now, the Browns have a playoff caliber roster as well, but they don't have the quarterback. And even if Deshaun Watson was playing, I'm not very confident in him right now. So they definitely need a quarterback, like whether it's Watson playing better or going out and getting the guy. This is a playoff-ready roster. I mean, like, look at it. Like, they got a legit defense, and they got players on offense. Njoku had a good game. Kareem Hunt's coming back on. Amari Cooper, to me, is very underrated in this league. Elijah Moore. So they got players. They have the players. They just don't have the quarterback. And, they have the defense, too. So it's kind of... They almost beat Seattle with P.J. Walker. They beat the Niners with P.J. Walker. P.J. Walker is not that good. So the fact that they're winning these games... The Browns and Jets are very similar. They got the rosters ready. They just need the quarterback. And the Browns have a little bit of a better offensive line than the Jets, but the Jets have a great roster too. But the Browns are right up there with the roster. They're probably both top 10 rosters in the league. Browns might have a slightly better roster than the Jets, though, because they got some elite players on defense and offense. But Seahawks, they're first in the NFC West now, so congrats to them. They look great after that Russell Wilson's trade. I mean, like, they got picks and they got better. And look at that offense. You got DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jake Bobo has been coming on. Jake Bobo looks really good. Jackson Smith and Jigba's been coming on. And then your 2 running backs, Walker and Charbonnet. So they are stacked. They're stacked. Completely stacked. And they just got Leonard Williams, like I just said, from the Giants. So they're looking good. They're looking good. Jamal Adams finally came back and made a play, made a couple plays. So the Seahawks, they're going to be in the playoffs, in my opinion. Falcons at Titans, and the main thing I want to cover about this is how about Will Levis? 4 touchdown passes. I liked a lot of what I saw from him. Even on his incompletions, I liked it. He was making quick decisions, accurate throws, and then when he was being aggressive, he's, being quick with that aggressiveness. He wasn't waiting. If he wanted to go deep, he went deep within 2 or 3 seconds. He was decisive. And if he could consistently play anywhere close to that, the Titans will be in the conversation the rest of the season. They will be. I mean, they were explosive. DeAndre Hopkins had a huge day. What was it, 3 touchdowns? He looks like he's back. If he could just get the ball consistently like that down the field, he's going to make plays. So Levis has to just keep being aggressive like that. And I don't know what the situation is, but they better start him next week. He should be their starter for the rest of the season. He has earned it. He's absolutely earned it. Forget Tannehill. Forget Malik Willis. Will Levis is your guy the rest of the season. You got to roll with him. Unless he's awful the next couple games, you got to roll with this guy. I mean, he showed everything you wanted when you drafted him. So they looked a lot more explosive. Add that with Derrick Henry and Spears, those running backs. Look, they could win 8, even 9 games with their great head coach too, Mike Vrabel. The defense played well. Now back onto the Falcons. Look, like I said, Desmond Ritter's not the guy. Taylor Heineke played really well though. The Falcons were moving the ball down the field. And he was making some nice throws. And, he was, again, him also, quick decisions, moving the chains, constantly moving the chains, first downs, Drake London here, Pitts there. He was, that offense looked like a competent offense for once. So, I think they got, again, this is the game of keep these quarterbacks in this game. The Falcons and the Titans. The Falcons need to start Heineke here on out. They have a very talented roster, and they are, similar to the Browns, a quarterback away from being a legit playoff team, in my opinion. This defense has vastly improved. A.J. Terrell, the corner, Grady Jarrett. They got players now on that defense, and, I thought the defense was going to be worse this season, but they've really stepped it up. Now, they got to keep rolling with Heineke. If you want to make the playoffs, Heineke is the better quarterback than Desmond Ridder. I think we all agree with that. I don't think Heineke is like the star. I think he's very limited, but he's got moxie. He's accurate. He makes good decisions, and he's a little bit of a playmaker. He can move a little bit when he has to. You saw in that playoff game against Tampa when he dove for the end zone. So Heineke, I like the juice I saw from Heineke, and maybe that division is wide open. I know the Saints kind of got right this week in their win over the Colts, but the Falcons are right there. They're right there. There's a possibility to start Heineke the rest of the season. They could win this division. Heineke can win you some games. Eventually you're going to see that he's limited, but he can win you games. Now, Will Levis, if he can play like that, Titans got their guy. Jaguars at Steelers. To me, this was a pretty uneventful game. I mean, it was hard to keep my eyes on it. Travis Etienne, in my opinion, has really emerged into one of the elite backs. He's kind of your hybrid receiving running back kind of. I remember they were talking about him playing slot at one point. He's just, and he showed it on that touchdown catch. So he's really come on. I think he's a top 10 back for sure, in my opinion. Kenny Pickett came out of the game, and once Trubisky comes in, I kind of knew that game was over. He made plays when he had to, though. I'll give him that. He was, moving out of the pocket, making throws when he had to, but he's limited. And the Jaguars kind of keep winning these games where they're not completely dominating, and not completely putting teams away, but they're consistently controlling the game with a lead. And I think the Jaguars are just fine. Look, they're 6-2 now. They're going to easily win this division. They have all the talent you want on offense. Ingram had a nice day, too. Ridley had some nice catches. Kirk had a beautiful catch on the sideline. This team is, I love their front seven. Josh Allen's really having a huge year. This team, to me, is a lock for the playoffs, unless something drastic happens. And, Trevor Lawrence is consistently he's been steady the last couple of weeks. He's not he hasn't been like that superstar, but he's been a top 10 quarterback for sure. As for Pittsburgh, I don't like their offense with Kenny Pickett. I definitely don't like it without. I think Kenny Pickett's definitely better than Mitch Trubisky because at least Kenny Pickett makes big-time plays when he has to. Trubisky is just a dink-and-dunk guy. So if Pickett's going to miss long-term time, I don't know what's the update with that. If he's going to miss a lot of time, it's going to be rough for them because they always struggle to score points with Trubisky last season. They're going to struggle. They're going to definitely struggle this season as well. Vikings at Packers, and I just want to say how it's very tragic that Kirk Cousins is now out for the season with a torn Achilles. It's a shame because he was having a career year. I mean, I think he was on pace to get 38 touchdown passes, and he was showing that he was going to get another contract for sure. And now this kind of changes the landscape of the offseason because, other than Rodgers, which I don't want to, look, he's not coming back this season. But anyway, no, Achilles is usually a 9 to 11 month recovery. So that puts him somewhere into the middle of the first quarter to second quarter of next season. So it's gonna affect where he lands up in his contract and everything of what he gets from another team. So kind of changes the landscape of the offseason because a lot of people probably had Kirk Cousins marked on their radar. So I could name a team for two teams, for instance, like Atlanta, the 49ers maybe. Now they might be having second thoughts. That's a brutal injury to come back from. I don't care what people saying Aaron Rodgers come back saying. It's a long injury to come back from, and it's brutal. And he's getting older, so it sucks. It sucks. But they just traded for Josh Dobbs today, so they still have a shot, man. They're 4-4 now. Who would have thought? We were saying a couple weeks ago they were one of the worst teams in the league. Now they're sitting here at 4-4 with a very legit chance at making the playoffs. So Josh Dobbs showed some promise on the Cardinals, which he technically got benched before he got traded. Maybe he got benched because he was going to get traded, but he made some plays in the Cardinals, running around, and he's got receivers. Addison's really come on the last couple of weeks. Osborne had a big day, and Justin Jefferson's coming back any minute. So, and you got Hawkinson, who also had a big day. So he's just got to be a distributor. Just get the ball to your playmakers. The defense definitely played a lot better, but it's the Packers. Jordan Love, I'm not going to get into that today. You know how I feel about him, but the defense stepped up, and this team, I don't think it'd be crazy if they won 9 games to make the playoffs, but Josh Dobbs probably isn't going to start for a week or two. He's a very smart guy. Remember, he's like an engineer, an aerospace engineer, so he's a smart guy. He's going to pick up the playbook fast, and he'll be in there in a few weeks. And the Vikings, I think their schedule is a little bit easier coming up, so I see a scenario where they hover around 500 and they stay in the mix. Doesn't mean they're going to make the playoffs, but they might be close. They really might be close. So I went 13-3 in my picks this week. I only talked about a couple games this week. Usually me and Dylan go into every single game. I didn't want to do that today. I went 13-3. Only lost 3 games this week. This is my best week by far. I think my best week before this was only like 10-6. So I had a huge week this week, or maybe 11-5. So my record now is 70-52. So I am 18 games over 500. I don't know what Dylan went this week, so maybe we'll talk about that next week. But this is the biggest week I had by far, and I just hope I keep rolling because I was struggling for a couple weeks in a row where I made some embarrassing picks. Like I'll never forget one I made earlier in the season. It was Commanders beating the Bills, and they got completely blown out. And that was a little embarrassing, but we've bounced back since then. As you see, we've bounced back. So congrats to me. I'll give myself a little nice pat on the back for that for sure. Now, I'm going to get into my week 9 picks right now. I'm just going to go over my top 5 games. I'm not going to go through every single game. Just do my top 5 games. And I like to start with Dolphins at Chiefs. This was tough for me because Miami's got the players on offense, but the Chiefs' defense has improved. And I was, like I said, tempted to go Miami here, very tempted. But they haven't beaten any good teams. They have to prove it to me first. Plus, the Chiefs are home. I think I said this last week. Arrowhead is a tough place to play out on the road. So I think the Chiefs got this one in the bag because Miami has to show me that they can beat legitimate teams before I actually am going to pick them against legitimate teams. So even though Mahomes had the flu last week, maybe that was a lot of the reason. But he threw a great throw to Sky Moore in the end zone that he dropped, so didn't look sick to me there. So his players need to make plays this week. That's all. Rashid Rice might need to step up. But, Miami's defense is a little shaky. They got Jalen Ramsey back, and they felt it already. He had the interception. So I got the Chiefs, though. Until Miami shows me that they could hang with the big dogs, I'm not going to treat them like a big dog. Seahawks at Ravens. This one's really tough for me, too. But, I think Lamar, in my opinion, is a top 5 quarterback. And I just think that this offense is rolling right now, and I think Geno Smith has been making a little bit too many mistakes. If Geno could just minimize the turnovers, the Seahawks have a chance of winning this game. But if he's sometimes he kind of forces the ball down the field. Sometimes he's been doing that a lot lately, and if he's going to do that, Baltimore's going to capitalize. And Lamar, I think Lamar is just going to have a big day with this offense, and I think it's going to be close. Very close game. I'm not too confident on the Ravens, but I think just watching that Ravens game where they completely dismantled the Lions a few weeks ago, that just sold me on the Ravens. I think the Ravens are a top 5 team right now. And I think Seattle's on the cusp of that, but I think right now the Ravens with Lamar Jackson. I mean, right now, I'll put it this way. I like Lamar Jackson better than Geno Smith, so give me the Ravens for this one. I mean, it's not always that simple, but I think for this one it is. Plus, the Ravens are home, so give me the Ravens on that one. Cowboys at Eagles, and look, it's kind of like similar to the Dolphins thing with the Cowboys. I don't trust them against good teams. They got shellacked by the 49ers. I don't know. Do people consider the Rams a good team? I guess not really. They kind of killed the Rams, but I trust the Eagles more in important games against good teams. They've shown it time and time again. And you can say all you want about the Eagles, but who do you really trust more in a game like this? The Eagles or the Cowboys? I'm pretty sure everyone that's not a Cowboys fan has the same answer. So the Eagles are battle tested at this point. The Cowboys aren't. And the Cowboys tend to fold in games like this. So again, like the Miami game, if they need to prove to me that they can win games like this. They can win games like this. I'll start to believe. But time and time again, Dallas has gotten in these kinds of games, and they've let me down, and they've let their fans down. So I know Cowboy fans can say all they want, but we killed this team, we killed that team, we killed that team. We'll see this week, buddy. We will see this week for sure how you're gonna match up against a team. And look, this Eagles secondary is kind of getting gashed a little bit. So look, you better be putting up points on that offense because AJ Brown's gonna have himself a field day. I don't care who you have to guard him. So I got Eagles in that one. This one's the toughest game for me. Bills at Bengals, because this is kind of a rematch of the playoff game last season. And again, I was tempted to take Bills here, but then they just traded for cornerback Rasul Douglas from the Packers. But I don't think that'll be enough for that defense. They're missing too many key injuries on defense. Trey White is a top 10 corner. Matt Milano is one of the best off-ball linebackers in the league. Both out for the season. You get Rasul Douglas, but he's just getting there right now. How much impact can he possibly have this week? And he's not Trey White. So too many key injuries, and the Bengals are humming at the perfect time. I think it's just momentum here. The Bills are kind of banged up a little bit. They kind of barely squeaked by the Bucks, even though they controlled that game the entire game. I don't want to act like the Bucks almost won. The Bills had that game in the bag. But the Bengals are hitting their stride. They just came off a huge win on the Niners, and they have momentum rolling. Their receivers are rolling, their running backs rolling, quarterback's on fire. And now he's mobile, and that defense is kind of lacking a little bit. So I wanted to go Bills, but I have to go Bengals here because, again, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, I'll take Joe Burrow right now. Is it slight? Yes, it's slight. They're neck and neck right now, but in a big stage like this, in a big game, important game, Sunday Night Football, I'll take the Bengals with that one for sure. Monday Night Football, Chargers at Jets. Interesting. I gotta take the Chargers in this one. I think their pass rush is going to be too overwhelming for the Jets O-line. What are they on their third center now? And the Chargers, I think they're also another team that's just going to start hitting their stride now. Their offense was kind of humming. Now that they have Eckler back and in full motion, and Quentin Johnston's finally making plays. Keenan Allen's obviously a stud. And the Chargers and Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator, they're usually very creative against zone-covered schemes, which the Jets like to play a lot. So I think they're going to come out very creative, maybe even do like a halfback touchdown pass or something. So the Jets got to be on their feet. They got to be alert. It's going to be close. The Jets have been close in every game. But I think it's just going to be a little too much to handle. I think the Chargers are going to jump out to maybe a little bit of an early lead, and the Jets are going to be playing catch-up. They might make it close late, but I'm going to take the Chargers in this one on Monday Night Football. Give me the Chargers. So I'm not doing the Thursday Night Football parlay this week, but I would just like to say how I hit on mine last week. Bills minus 5.5 hit. Josh Allen 2+ passing touchdowns hit. Gabe Davis 40+ receiving yards hit. Under 46.5 total points hit. So I won my Thursday Night Football parlay. If you bet with me, you won. Keep tailing my bets. I don't have one this week. I just want to keep my focal points of what I've seen on the games this week. And we, like I said, we have a lot of tough games coming up this week. We're coming into the reality of the season of what teams are really good and what teams aren't so good. So we're going to start to see a lot of teams that we thought were playoff teams fold, and a lot of teams that we thought were out of it come back into the mix. The Bengals are coming back into the mix. We thought, maybe the Texans are a playoff team. Boom, lose to the Panthers. So it's a week-by-week league. And once we get towards week 12, 13, 14, we'll really know what's going to happen. Right now, it's kind of like all over the place. You got the Cardinals beating the Cowboys. You got the Jets beating the Eagles. You got the Niners losing 3 games in a row, winning 5, losing 3. So it's very up and down. We just got to ride it out. Sometimes I can get too week by week too. I think we all have that at a fault. So we just got to remember the overall picture that a lot of the good teams are still pretty good, and a lot of the bad teams are still pretty bad. The Cardinals are starting to falter here. They just traded Josh Dobbs. We thought, maybe they're not going to get the number 1 pick. Now it's starting to look like they might. So, all right, keep subscribing, and sharing. Thanks, guys. See you next week.